If you're just joining in, I'm Yvette Nicole Kolodji, and I'm right outside the Nuetra Museum and Gallery. I will be walking in and showing you my very first solo art exhibit. I'm super excited about this. And also I'll be showing you another exhibit called La Feria de las Flores. I have a few pieces in that, and also there's some amazing artists. So let's go in and check it out. So come walk with me, and we'll go into the gallery. So my exhibit is called 2021 Rose Parade. It was inspired by the fact that unfortunately this year we do not have a Rose Parade. So in here is the amazing Dulce Stein, who is curating everything, and she is absolutely amazing. So here is my gallery exhibition, my very first one. So I'm very excited about this. So thank you to Dulce for curating it. So we're going to be going in, and I'll read my poems, and I'll show you the photography, and I will also show you the floats that go along with everything. Okay, so and let's start with the poem. Again, if you just joined in, my name is Yvette Nicole Kolodji, and this is my first solo art exhibit, and I'll read you my poem. It was a tradition in my family, early morning rising, rushing out the door, half groggy into dusk, parking close enough but still too far away, dragging chairs, blankets, and snacks block by block to find cracks in the crowd for a good view, waiting in the cold for hours and hours. But this year was different. It was canceled. Missing what we can't have, Rose Parade. Looking back, it makes sense why it was canceled. New Year, the twinkle in Pandora's eyes. Last year started with a bang, but not the kind you want. Australian bushfires, the worst in history, egged on by climate change. Then a pandemic hit. Unlike anything seen in a century, it almost seemed like many forgot. Just a cold, not more than a flu. No need for a mask. Painting outside all the lines of science. Hoarding began. Quarantine set in. Social distance became the norm for more than the lonely. The rules of daily life changed, but not for all. Civil unrest. The United States unmasked. With the world still, the injustices could be seen by those who ignored it. Protests grew in the streets, but the year went on. Spring set and summer came in. The anger needed a release, a moment to pause, a moment to think, a moment to breathe, a moment in nature. And so you can see a little bit. Alone on her path, the full moon turns blue. As time progressed, as time continued to pass, it brought governmental change. Each branch shifted. The powerhouse judge, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, died, and with it her progressive seat. But November came. We voted in a new Congress, and a new president. New states became battlegrounds. A victory for vice president, who will become the first woman, first African American, and first South Asian American vice president. Two sides of a coin, sadness and joy. And then rose petals fall off the float, new dream. I hope you guys enjoyed my poem. I'm going to circle back and show everything a little more closely. And I will give you a little more descriptions on how it was made, what it's made from. So let me come here and show you my first thing here. This is made from, this is linen, and I hand stitched everything. Unfortunately, I can see that it's showing the text backwards, but I can promise you it's forwards on here. So sorry about that. And here is my first Rose Parade float. As you can see, it is a little, okay, there you can see it a little better. You can see that it's dried because it's made from fresh flowers. And it is also made from only paper and plant matter. So the greenery is hibiscus leaves. The edge of the float is Dorantus erectus. There's red rose petals in it, and also lavender, and the 2021 that is on the front of the float. Bear with me. I'm sorry, you probably can't see that very well. This 2021 is doused in chili powder. And then if you go here, you can see what it looked like fresh. And then this is my poem that is supposed to accompany it. So it's Missing What We Can't Have, Rose Parade. So here's a separate haiku. So my whole poem is kind of like a haiga, which is haiku with art. And then there's also, it's a haibun as well, which is prose with haiku. So each haiku, it can be standalone on its own. And so if you move down, you can actually see this float. It is supposed to be a representation of Australia. I know it's hard to tell on here, and actually it's hard to tell, but it is in the shape of Australia. And so all of that was made with paper. And then I put heavenly bamboo on it, and the trees jutting out is lily stalks, and I have a koala and kangaroo on the float, and all of those are the kangaroo is made with turmeric, and the koala is doused in cardamom. So you can see what it looks like now, and this is a picture of what it used to look like when it was all fresh and newly made. So as I said, all of my poems were hand stitched and embroidered. So my next float is called Pandemic. So it's supposed to honor all of the frontline workers, and on the front it's supposed to be Fauci, and the lab coat is made with garlic. His mask, you can see the mask there, and his hair is dandelions. And then behind it, I don't know if you can see very well, but there is a Erlenmeyer flask. And the Erlenmeyer flask is made with lavender. And then billowing out of it is some smoke. And that smoke is New Zealand flask. So that is what it currently looks like after, about 2 months. And here's what it used to look like. And if you move down to the next float, the next float is about the fact that there was so much hoarding going on during 2020 and the whole hoarding of toilet paper. And at some points, some people had too much toilet paper. So I made a float that's is a little more playful. So it has some people, and the little corn husks are supposed to be people toilet papering the yard. So you can see it's a little playful take of the hoarding that was going on. The grass is actually grass. The trees are lily stalks, and the toilet paper is made from corn husks. And the people are made with cardamom, turmeric, and chili powder. So that's what it currently looks like. And this is what it used to look like. So, and then my next one is about the Black Lives Matter. And here you can see here, it is a fist. All of this is cherry plum leaves, and there's spurge weed and manuka flowers. And if you look at it, it almost looks like, it looks like kind of barbed wire-esque, the spurge weed and the manuka. So you can see the pain that was, happening to the Black community. And you can see the what it looks like originally and what it looks like now. And then the next ones are about, a lot of people went kind of exploring in 2020. So all of my floats are about events or societal changes or feelings that occurred during 2020. So I know that a lot of people went out exploring the wilderness. And so I did some 5 floats that represent 5 different national parks. So you have Old Faithful, which is the geyser here, right there. And then you have Grand Canyon with the Colorado River. Then you also have Sequoia, Half Dome for Yosemite, and you have a Hoodoo for the Bryce Canyon. And I felt like that kind of represents a bunch of different national parks. And here is, bear with me, I'm going to shift over. Here is the geyser one. So this is Old Faithful. Here's the Grand Canyon. Here is Sequoia. And here is the Half Dome and the Bryce Canyon. And then you continued on. So throughout the year, I try to make it a little bit in chronological order, So we have, Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. So, So you can see here is my Ruth Bader, my RBG float. And you have her descent collar made of roses, and then her her robes is supposed to be is hibiscus. Then you can see what it looked like fresh. And then I have Kamala Harris because, you know, after winning vice presidency. So bear with me. There it is. So, and with the podium saying VP. So her hair is cherry plum blossom and hibiscus. And you can see here's what it looks like fresh. So then there were a bunch of solar events that occurred during 2020 with Neowise and the great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. So I made a Stargazer's Dream float, which has Saturn and Jupiter. Oh, bear with me. I'm sorry. It's hard to tell here. Sorry. And Jupiter here. And then in the back here is Neowise. The shooting, yeah. To represent the comet is a star. So, and then the last of my floats is called Ship This. And it was, it's supposed to be like a shipping box, and the roses are supposed to represent tissue paper flowing out of it, because during 2020, a lot of people had a lot of their supplies shipped to them. And you can see there, this is what it looked like fresh. This is what it looks like now. And I'll show you some close-ups of when it was fresh. So here is the Hoarder's Dream, where you can actually see a little bit more of the people and a little bit of the toilet papering. So it's called Toilet Papering the Yard, that little snippet. Then I have highlighting of the kangaroos amidst the, it's supposed to be, you know, the Australian bushfires. So you have roses dipped in chili powder and turmeric to give it that kind of glow that happens during a fire. And then you also have a koala here. So, and then here is a close-up of a hoodoo. And because, you know, depending on how you looked at the Grand Canyon, it looks different from aerial or from the side. You have a different view. So you have here where you can look at more of the Colorado River. And all of this is made from like orange peels and lavender, and it has seeds on it as well. So it's supposed to show the different, you know how the rock formations, they have different layers. So I kind of either had the front facing orange side, and if you look at, let me go closer to the float so you can see more about what I'm saying. So you can see here, it's kind of orange and white, and there's some seeds. And I had it, so depending on which side of the orange peel, it'll be orange or white to give that layering. And I also use that technique for the hoodoo, so for the Bryce Canyon. And then here is a close-up of the geyser. The geyser part is made from rose petals, and the water shooting out of it is New Zealand flask. And here is a close-up of Neowise and of the Great Conjunction, so you can see Saturn and Jupiter together. All of this was either from plants found in my backyard or bouquets of flowers that we got. So, but most of it was just from our yard, which is kind of a very interesting way to do it, I feel like, because, you know, you didn't have to go out for the supplies. So it was kind of a great quarantine project. And I feel like it kind of represents 2020. So let's go check out the other exhibit, and we can, on the first stop, here's actually here's a painting I did. It's called Dancing Fiddlehead. And so all of this, it's, you know, so it's, here is another artist's amazing work. Look how beautiful these flowers are. And here, I'll just show you some more of, these are other artists' work. So, and here is another piece by me. This is called The Face of Nature. So in it, you can see there's two pieces here, side by side. And one side is supposed to be sad. And you can see the petals of the flower dropping from the tree as if it's crying. And then the other one is happy. And you can see the chirping of the bird. And closely you can see it singing. This was all done by, this is actually scratch board. So it's unlike normally with paintings, you actually apply everything. This one you remove. So it starts off black and you have to remove layers to get the white. So, and here is a beautiful painting. It reminds me of the like splashes of paint. It's great. Here's another artist's work. I love how they did the details of the flower. It's quite beautiful. This one is embroidery. It's quite impressive. It looks like it's painted on. And here is poppies made with embroidery. This is another artist's work. I love cactuses. I think this is beautiful. And I love the moon flowers and how they represent that. And here is another cactus painting. I like how this one, it has like a completely different perspective and it's more abstracted. And I like how there's rings around the spikes. So here's a beautiful painting of roses. Now this one is quite interesting because it's a collage. So you can see different pieces of, I believe it's paper, applied together. It's quite amazing. I love, this makes me think of like a tree next to the ocean. And I love how it's like sunset here. And it's interesting because next to it, you have it where it's kind of mirroring. So on this side, you have the similar effect on this and this kind of circular pattern that is reminiscent of like like the eddies in water, but also it reminds me of the knots in trees. So I think that's very fascinating, especially with the little branches here. So and you can see a branch on this side as well. I believe this one is very beautiful. It's Butterflies in My Mind is the title. I love the accents of gold and how, very serene she looks and how vibrant these falling, the gold flecks and the butterflies are. And here this is another great use of gold accents and the piercing eyes. You can see little floral accents here. So this one is watercolor. It looks like also pen as well. I really, it's very interesting. It makes me feel very whimsical. It's very, playful. And I like how the people are drawn falling, like a dream almost. Here is a lovely flower. I believe it looks like an iris to me. I think it's very nice. I'm not sure. I think it looks like colored pencil, but I can't guarantee that just visually. And here is poppies. I feel like that is very fitting for California. And I love California poppies. I think they're very vibrant and they have some sort of reminiscent feeling towards my grandma, because my grandma would have, California poppies just popping up throughout her yard. It was just absolutely wonderful. I really like this photograph because I'm not sure what type of plant it is, but it makes me feel like it reminds me of succulents, but also reminds me of I'm very curious as to what type of plant this is. I find it very fascinating. I really like the shape of the flowers and how it bunches. And you just feel like there's just a very luscious where it's just a lot of bunching flowers. And here's another one of my favorites of California poppies. I love California poppies. And then bird of paradise here. So it was interesting because I vaguely recall looking at something where it was talking about the differences of where the bird is, right? So I've always grew up thinking it was a bird head, but then you also can see a bird flying. So birds of paradise. Now, I think I like the symmetry of this painting. It makes me think of those black and white oil blots, but instead of black and white, it's colorful because of the patterning of it. And it's kind of interesting because I feel like the symmetry and the way it is really composed, it looks like an iris. Like right here, this looks like an iris to me, yet it is not an iris. So I find that very beautiful. Here is very vibrant piece. Let me see what. This actually looks very cheery to me. So here's a black swan with some flowers, checkerboard. And I like this one because it reminds me of like the early Impressionists and the vibrant colors they would use and the abstraction. And here is a lovely iris painted. Some roses. This piece is really striking to me because I feel like from far away, it just catches your eye because of how neutral the colors are and how subtle it is. And I really like how it's composed. Here is a very beautiful painting. It's called Introspection, which, she looks very serene. I love the florals. It's very beautiful. I really like this piece. And here are some very interesting pieces. It's like mixed media. So you can see that these are actually made from bottle caps. So you have Fanta, Heineken. so you can get more of a sense of it. I think that's pretty amazing. I loved mixed media art. I think it's amazing to use found objects and kind of compose it in a very unique way. And this one also uses the bottle caps to make the flowers within the dress, and then also the belt. I think it's a very beautiful accents. So there is a couple of more pieces over here that I'm gonna show you. They kind of remind me of Georgia O'Keeffe and the sensuality of her flowers. Now here is one. And if you come over here, here is another painting that reminds me of Georgia O'Keeffe. And then here is another wall of paintings. Check this out. This is all watercolor. From far away, it just looks like kind of a meadow of red flowers. Here's a nice mason jar of a bouquet of flowers. This one reminds me of the famous water lily paintings. But this is made from watercolor, so completely different technique, but similar subject. And here's another lovely still life vase with some flowers. I like this still life. Honestly, I would love my house to be full of greenery like this one. You can see in the distance, this is like someone's house, so I like that. Just makes me want to have some more plants in my house. And here's this very nice combination of flowers. Here's some paintings of sunflowers and pink peonies. So thank you guys so much for watching. Well, here's some more paintings here. I love this lovely, very sensuous branch. It breaks the piece and it gives it interesting, and it gives that lovely line. And here, this to me looks like cherry blossoms, but it's very beautiful. If you look closely, there is a face right here amongst the branches. So from far away, I feel like that is absolutely stunning. Sorry, there you go. And then here is a series, another art gallery that is called Serenity. You can see this is very interesting technique. It reminds me of fluid dynamics because of how it's obviously like paint poured, and in order to get these holes, I'm not sure if they used oil or their technique. It just is absolutely fascinating. I love how sensual it looks and how they actually were able to manipulate the fluids to kind of run this way, so it actually looks like a flower. So you can see different renditions of it. Oh. And here is some more of it. I absolutely loved the technique. I thought it was very beautiful. I had to buy one myself. So this is the one I bought because I just loved it so much. And here is some more of her paintings. thank you guys so much for watching this, and I really hope that you've enjoyed my walkthrough. Here is another painting, or well, actually, I believe it is multimedia because you have the leaf, and I'm not sure exactly. I think it's made from drywall, and it has paint on it. If you look from far away, you can see that it's definitely a person. You can see the bust, each line, and you have very interesting proportions where you have a person actually sitting down. So I hope you enjoyed the whole gallery experience with me. Again, my name is Yvette Nicole Kolodji, and I really hope you enjoyed my series called 2021 Rose Parade. I did it because I was missing the Rose Parade so much, and thank you so much. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave comments, and I'll respond to it as much as possible. And thank you so much for going through this with me. Bye. Oh, actually, give me 1 second. It was requested that I show the embroidery. So I will actually be posting another video because you can't read it very well. And I will be posting a video where you can see all of the embroidery and you can read it more legibly. And if you are interested in any of the pieces, they're all for sale. So, just message me, text me, call me, or, just leave them, and I will, set it up. Each, just so you know the pricing scale, if you're interested, each photograph is $100, the embroidery is $200, and the floats are $400, and then the pieces in the gallery are $1,000. So I'm going to try flipping the camera, and then we'll see if that works. So let me, I believe I'm not able to do a, let's see, haha, yes. Thank you, Julianne, for showing me this trick. So here you can read each of the embroidery. So this is the first segment of it. Here is my Missing What We Can't Have Rose Parade. And if you look at the embroidery here, it's an homage to how I created the structure of the float. And by the way, all of these floats are just made from plant matter and paper. And so, New Year, the twinkle in Pandora's eyes. I would try to make the flames, and you can see, or maybe you can see that they look to me like eyes. So that way to kind of have this feeling of Pandora's eyes. Here's another longer version of my prose. And here is the painting outside all the lines of science. And if you look here, here's a Erlenmeyer flask with some fumes coming from it, which is reminiscent of my float. And here is actually a better version, so I will go and show you the floats better, because me holding it in selfie mode may have been a little difficult to see the floats. So here's my hoarding section of the prose. And here's the civil unrest, the United States unmasked. So all of this was published in ColoradoBoulevard.net. Now, actually, this civil unrest, the United States unmasked, was also published previously in Acorn, which is a haiku journal. And I'll show you here, alone on her path, the full moon turns blue. And this is supposed to be a river. Here's some more of the prose. And here is two sides of the coin, sadness and joy. Here you can see, I was trying to make it so it's like two sides of a flower, one drooping, sad, and one perky, which is supposed to be happy. And then here is rose petals fall off the float, new dream. You can see the rose petals falling. And I will quickly show you my floats. Here is the version of the first one. As you can see, you know, it is dried a little bit. And you can see the 2021 more. And so that you can compare this definitely with this. You can see there's a difference in color. On the edge you had, was more orange and vibrant, and you can see the difference between the drying of also the hibiscus. So here is my Australian float. You can see closer, maybe the kangaroo closer than the koala, and everything a little closer. And then this is what it looked like, fresh and vibrant. And this is my pandemic float with Fauci and the Erlenmeyer flask. And what the front of it, you can't see the Erlenmeyer flask in this image as well. Here is what my Hoarder's Delight looks like. It's definitely a more playful float. And here is what it looked, fresh and vibrant. My Black Lives Matter float. On the top, you might be able to see the lines in the fist in comparison. Now I know this one is kind of like it's a darker float, so it's kind of harder to see the image and with the reflection as well, sorry. So here is the geyser. In comparison to this geyser, I feel like this float is probably one of the most durable floats because I actually started with dried rose petals, and I feel like the New Zealand flask doesn't change that much when it dries out. And similarly, you can feel like here's my Grand Canyon. So you can actually go into it a little more, see the sides. Yes, Mary, I completely agree. This drying is part of it, and it has this feeling of like, you know, this momentary aspect of it. And I really like your comment. And it's also this idea of rituals changing, and how, you know, like in this pandemic, my family ritual of going to the Rose Parade obviously had to change. So here is the Sequoia one. It's actually made from its lily, and I dyed it with hibiscus. It's a little leaning now, but the original was much more perky. yeah, so it's a little different. And here is my half dome. And I feel like half dome didn't change much, but that's because it's lavender and sage, and it also has some tea in there. I am particularly fond of Yosemite. It is my go-to national park. I have a fondness for national parks and nature in itself, which also probably is why that I used natural elements. Here is a hoodoo for Bryce Canyon. So all of this is used dried orange peel, and you can see it's quite similar from when it was newly made. And this is the RBG float. You can see her glasses, and her mouth and eyes had flowers in it. I agree, Mary. I think mission projects are a little outdated, but that's my personal opinion. So here is the Kamala Harris float. And this one is kind of hard to see because of the reflections, but trying to move it so you can have different views of it. And here is my stargazer dream, so you can see a little more of Jupiter. And I actually have Jupiter's spot right here. And here is Saturn with its rings, composed of manuka flowers, and it's made with dried rose petals. And Neowise is made with corn husks. So, and here's what it looked like fresh. So, Erica, each float I created, on January 1st to January 14th, I created the floats. Some floats were definitely much longer to make. Generally, it took about a day to make a float. So it was a substantial amount of work to do each float. It was made with paper and glue. So I would create the structure, and then I would later on paste on the floral accents. So here is another quick view of the full gallery. And thank you so much for liking my construction of the Stargazer's Dream. This one was particularly hard to do because of the fact that making kind of spheres is kind of hard to do, and make it so that you could actually paste the flowers on top of and make it kind of fit together. So I kind of made it like two halves and put it on top of each other, and then kind of glued it. And then also another one that was particularly hard to do for construction was definitely the RBG one, because I had to making it a face, and before I put on the flowers, I had to kind of make it, the nose sticks out a little bit and the eyes are sunken in. So it's a little, definitely each one had its own difficulties. Like definitely The construction for the hoodoo, I really had to plan it out because I was trying to have it all made from like one paper so it's stronger. So then it's like kind of it's a very interesting cutting project and then kind of folding it to make it three-dimensional. And each of them are like, the base is kind of similar where you have kind of a band and then have it kind of folded in so it kind of stands on top of this large base so it's more sturdy. And also the Grand Canyon was kind of difficult because of the shape of it and having it kind of split down the middle. So each one had their own construction, kind of different. I've used different techniques and different flowers for each float. Now there are like some flowers where I've used like lavender on this float, on this, so it may use similar flowers, but you know, just different ways. If you have any other questions on any particular float or any of it, let me know and I will try to answer to the best of my abilities and kind of help. But thank you so much for viewing and being here with me. It is very exciting for me because this is my first solo exhibit. And thank you for sharing in my excitement and watching. I really appreciate all of you. And if you would like any of these for your home, just let me know. And also, did you want me to quickly show you the other gallery as well? I will show you my my pieces again in this view. So here's the dancing fiddlehead. And so that way you get another walkthrough through the gallery. And I will stop here because this is my piece called Two Sides. Or the Face of Nature, pardon. The Face of Nature. And you can see here's an eye and here's an eye. This is supposed to be the nose. And the arching branch is supposed to be the eyebrow. And then and here is another embroidery work. Thank you, Cathabella, for saying my voice is very songful. And thank you, Rose, for saying your compliments. I really appreciate it. And I will do a quick walkthrough and then I'm going to head out because the gallery is going to open very, very soon. So this is just a sneak peek. And of course, everything here is available for sale. So if you like something, let me know. And I will talk to Dulce, who is this amazing curator. And thank you so much again for walking through this and viewing this with me. I hope you enjoyed this just as much as I did. Thank you so much, everyone, for your lovely, kind comments. And I really hope you enjoyed viewing this. And thank you so much for coming and watching this show with me and being so gracious and wonderful And I hope you, thank you so much.
You have to make fun of my somewhere, right?
Oh, I missed this. So, thank you so much. I will head out. Here's just a quick farewell walkthrough. And have a good rest of your day. And I'll end right here. Thank you so much.